What do you do when you're 75 years old and bored? You look for an academic course which will challenge you. Since I had been 50 when I got my first degree, I did not think that age would disqualify me. Looking around for something local, I live in Leeds, I found that there was a part-time MA course in theology and religious studies. With my previous degree, I was qualified to go through it. Now, my course was aimed at people of any religion or none, and since I loved being a devil's advocate, I thought that it would just suit me down to the bone. There was a choice of modules, and I picked my way carefully through them. Now, one of the modules I picked was topics in Christianity. Most students on that module were taking it a step towards ordination, but obviously that didn't apply to me. One of the sessions was on sin and evil. How do you differentiate between sin and evil? What is sin? What is evil? How do you respond or react to it? We constructed a sort of graph and placed various actions into one of those categories. Then one of the students asked, where would you put the Holocaust? Was it a sin or was it evil? And the tutor replied, well, only a person who had lived through it would be able to tell you. Now, I was in a difficult position. My background until this time had been unknown. I'd put my past, as the German put it, into a Mördergrube, into a grave that the murderers put to put their victims in. I had never been a coward, and not thinking of possible consequences, I said, I was there. Stunned silence. The tutor asked, could I talk about it? I said I couldn't, but I would agree to answer questions. And I told them about the promise which I had made to one of twins in Birkenau, that I would tell the story of Auschwitz-Birkenau if I survived. At the end of the session, the tutor says to me, you made a promise to tell what happened. You have to keep it. You have to write about it. I panicked. I couldn't see how I could unravel the past and keep my sanity. I expended so much effort, so much time to burying the horrors, and by doing so, trying to protect myself and my children from the effect of possible anti-Semitism. Yet, over a period of 3 years, with the help of my tutor, who became a close friend, I made the journey. And I excavated the past. I was supported by 2 of my friends who held my hand and enveloped me in their love. So The Woman Without a Number was written and published in 2010 with the help of the BBC, and then in 2013, the poem I Was There followed. What is in the book? Well, you'll have to read it because there are things that I cannot talk about even today. Now, the stories of my early childhood were no problems, but there was a break in the past. The first intimation of things going wrong when Mother came home and told me towards the end of my 3rd year in the German grammar school that the following year I would no longer go to that school, but to one where the teaching language was not German. And that was when the outside world, politics, the significance of religion intruded into a happy childhood. From then on, the world was a different place, a place where I was stigmatized, denigrated, reviled, dehumanized. Well, they tried to do this, but I was an angry teenager. Inside, I'm still the same. And I decided whatever others said or did, I would stay the same. I would try and retain my internal integrity, my hope that whatever happened, there would be a better tomorrow, a day when I could stand up again, be proud, and speak out. So I had to leave school. You shouldn't have intellectual pretensions if you're Jewish. You have to learn a practical trade. Nor should you live in a nice part of the town in a spacious apartment. But 4 of you were squeezed into a one-roomed flat, and you queue for food. If you wear a yellow star, you're the last one to be served. You are not allowed to sit down in the tram because you would contaminate the seat on which you sat. Then I escaped to Hungary, or I would have been sent to the Russian front to serve with German soldiers. Now I'm in hiding, illegal immigrant. I'm frightened and very cold. They find me, interrogate me. The rosary which Father Andreas gave me and is in my bag does not provide the safety he thought it would give me. I'm taken to a prison, but they decide not to prosecute. So I'm taken to a detention center, an immigration center, and finally to a refugee camp. Eventually I'm released, about to marry a Hungarian young man, but Nazi Germany occupies Hungary. I'm in the wrong place at the wrong time, so finish up in a brickyard, and finally, after a long train journey in a cattle wagon in Auschwitz-Birkenau, I'm registered as a political prisoner, a nurse, and that probably saved my life. Now, Birkenau means large forest, and perhaps there was a forest there. But now there are no trees, there's no grass, no trees, no birds, just rows upon rows of wooden huts. There are so many being brought from Hungary, I believe over 500,000 in 6 weeks, that even the efficient German bureaucracy can't cope. They run out of ink when they're supposed to do us, having shaved us, not only our heads, but over all our bodies. They didn't have time to build bunks into the huts. We have to lie on the floor like spoons, one behind the other. There's no space to move. Outside, wooden boxes with buckets serve as latrines. The only way we know of the passing of time is that once a week we are taken to be showered. Showered or gassed? We never know. You can't tell. So I want to learn more about this. It has all been documented, written about, and you can read about it elsewhere. The thing I cannot forget is the smell from the crematorium and the skeletal men in striped pajamas. By now, they have run out of striped pajamas. So we wear stiff, heavily disinfected rags, or rather just one rag. There are 5 of us who got out of the wagon together, 5 women, doctors and nurses. We stayed together. We didn't know one another before, but now we are family, the only one we got. We stayed together, eventually go to a slave labor camp in Lippstadt at the end of July 1944, and are liberated on the 1st of April 1945, Easter Sunday, by American troops in Kaunitz. Now, I'm a linguist, a great advantage in the camp, and now I go to work for the British military government and the Control Commission in Germany. I get engaged to a British Army officer, but he's a regular officer, and the Army will not give him permission to marry me. They think it's a marriage of convenience to get me to England. Well, he's 25 years older, a widower with 2 children. Who is it convenient for, him or me? I wonder. So I go back to Bratislava, meet up with my mother, my brother, and my cousin who have survived Auschwitz. Not father, because he got gassed on the last day when they used the gas chambers in Auschwitz before destroying them as the Russians were approaching. Now, Bert comes, and you don't need army permission to get married in Czechoslovakia. So we get married by the mayor, in the British consulate, and also in church, because according to the army, they only accept a church wedding. So I get married 3 times to the same chap in one day. Well, Bert goes back to Germany. He posted to the UK in March 1947, and I arrived there on the 17th of March and start a new life. I place the past in the Pandora's box, lock it, and throw the box and the key into the sea and try to live a new life. But eventually, the past reared its ugly head 60 years later on that MA course. So I do write it all down. Perhaps to keep the memory alive, because there are 11 millions who can't. Not only Jews, but Roma, Poles, Russians, those Germans who were mentally ill, those Germans who were gay, Jehovah's Witnesses, priests and nuns, all who would not conform to the idea of pure Aryan race, which had its own religion in which there was no room for any God. Now, I use words to paint pictures. So here is a picture I call I Was There. Hundreds of women, their heads shorn in ragged clothes, standing in rows of 5 for hours and hours in the rain, in the heat, being counted. We are thirsty, so thirsty, but there is no water, and thirst is worse than hunger. Some fall down, limbs contorted. We do not dare to do more than whisper, "Get up, you have to get up, get up. If you don't get up, you'll die." Mengele goes past, sees the fallen, points to others to pick them up. Where have they gone? They're never seen again. But I was there. Nighttime, the hut. The girl, frantic, diabetic, knew she couldn't survive, no medication, only the healthy might survive. Taken to the end of the hut, doctors among us attend her, talk to her. There is no hope for her. Went into a coma, died at dawn, taken away. I didn't even know her name, but I was there. Every day we stood and were counted again and again, morning, noon, evening, for hours, nerves stretched to breaking point. Some couldn't bear it, ran to the perimeter fence, got stuck like spread-eagled butterflies on a specimen board because the fence is electrified. This factory of death is Auschwitz-Birkenau. I'm still there. We stood. Past being hungry, past being thirsty, got thinner, feebler, more fell, more disappeared. Only the strong and the healthy now remained. One day we are told to strip, hold our rags above our heads, are prodded like cattle. Don't move. Moving is dangerous. It singles you out. It makes you vulnerable. Secret of survival is not to be noticed. Still there. Now, Mengele asked for doctors and nurses to volunteer to go with the labor transport. Could we trust this evil man with his perverted sense of humor, the man who roared with laughter when we got out of the wagon, we 5 doctors and nurses linking arms, a scarf on the grizzled head of our aged doctor, hiding her in the middle, marching ahead, singing through the portal which proclaimed Arbeit macht frei. Work gives you freedom, but led to death. We 5 are still together, supporting each other. You do need friends to survive. Now we stepped out together, volunteering. We knew if we stayed, we would not live long. Nobody does here in Auschwitz-Birkenau. Sooner or later you end up dead, gassed, ashes, made into grey coarse soap, bits of bone sticking out to scratch you to remind you are still there. This transport, was it real or one of his jokes? We might get out or be sent to the gas chamber. We took the risk, wouldn't you? We were the fortunate few. The 500 went to work in armament factories, constantly bombed, but still alive. Now living in hope, and our hope was justified. Our hope was their despair. But this was not to be the end. March into the dark. Quick, quick, walk, totter towards perdition. Don't stop, don't fall. They'll shoot you. I'm here today. What have I learned? What do I now know? that I didn't know before. I now know that human cruelty knows no bounds, but I still don't know for certain why I survived when so many thousands died. Perhaps I survived to keep the memory alive, to bear witness, to talk to you, hoping that you will listen. So listen to me, please. Be aware, be vigilant. Do not let differences in people, color, religion, ethnicity, or gender be the deciding factor on how they are treated. Differences should be valued and respected. I am different from you. You are different from me. But that does not make me worth less than you, just makes me more interesting to you, am I right? And you more interesting to me. I'm not going to flay you, to make a lampshade out of your skin, as they did in Auschwitz-Birkenau, to see what's under the skin, because I know that under the skin we are all the same. So listen to me, please. We all have rights and responsibilities. The right to speak out, the right to be listened to, but we have to take responsibility for what we are saying, what we are doing, and also for what we failed to say or failed to do. Now, I have faith in you, the young people of today, that you will listen and not make those mistakes which led to the Holocaust and are leading to genocide even today. I believe that you will build bridges, not frail ones, which will break in the slightest wind, but strong, sturdy ones based on understanding and respect for each other and the desire we all have for mutual trust and genuine peace. So remember two things. One, under the skin, we are all the same. And two, each of you can make a difference. So don't disappoint me, and thanks for listening.